do we have any comments? Do we have any questions of what's in the chat here? Anybody interested to talk about something? I don't know. I'm just gonna start. We don't have anything to talk about. There's only 16 people hanging out with us today. So let's see here. It is with great thought and consideration, and you can see all of the Livonian legalese here. This first one is for Matthew D. O'Donnell, Doctor of Philosophy. If you're in the chat, tell us what your doctorate is for. So what do we have for first question here while I'm working on signing these?
Is there any setting you would not do a geopolitics of video on?
What would I not do a geopolitics video on? Oh, man, that's an interesting question. Would I not do? Because part of it, I'm going to catch this on fire.
Be careful.
I know, right? Part of it is, you could demonstrate how inconsistent or how ridiculous it is, and then quickly show how to fix it. Like, Star Wars is one that I think is really crazy. It doesn't really make any sense from a geopolitical location, but that's not a bad thing. You can use what they gave you and say, okay, well, that's the status quo. How do we go about? Did I get it? Did I nail it? I think I nailed it. How do you go about correcting or re-implementing what's actually there? Like, why are the Clone Wars happening on the planets that they are? Like, Geonosis has a droid facility, okay, but most of the planets that they do war on don't really make any sense. So figuring out where to go from there is probably what I would do. Outside of that, is there another one? I don't know, just completely fantastic. And this isn't to say that absurdly fantastical world building is inherently bad. It's just it makes it kind of silly to do world building on or geopolitical analysis of. You're missing the point if you try to do that. So the Katamari video games, that would be silly. Anyway, do we have any more questions?
Question from Deathwish.
Okay.
How do you describe something secretly? For example, a gray dragon sleeps in a way in which his scales match the walls. I find secret doors, walls, and all the like especially difficult.
How do you describe something secretly? A gray dragon sleeps in a way which his scales match the walls. Okay. So if it's a secret, you have to ask, why are you telling them anything? And part of telling them anything, if it's a secret, is because you want them to find it, right? Otherwise, just note down what their perception scores are, or whatever similar skill or ability, wisdom, whatever, will. Note down what those scores are at the beginning of the game. I'm gonna have to redo this, Seal. Note down at the beginning of the game what their scores are, and just use those to kind of gut check exactly what you're doing. I'm concentrating on not burning myself here.
Can I help you in any way?
I don't know. Here in just a second, yes. Okay, that's much better. There we go. I have a silicon mat here. Boop. Perfect. Excellent. All right.
That is a nice stamp.
Yeah, only tell them if they see it. If it's a secret, it's a secret. Don't share the information to them. On the other hand, I would also want you to ask, why do I have a secret thing and I don't want them to find it? Don't put yourself in a position where you're making content for your adventure that doesn't get used because you didn't reveal it to the players, if that makes sense. So maybe gamify, if a dragon has scales, be sure you're doing things to grayscales against a gray wall. Forecast or explain something that would invoke curiosity. That's the point. They're going to feel smart about it. Your players are going to feel smart about it when they figure it out anyway. You can see my dog poking his head up here.
It's dinner time.
Yeah, he wants food.
It's on a schedule.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I would go with it. Let's see if I can get this off of here now. It's always there. We go. Much better. See. Okay. I've already got my ring off. Do you have your ring?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna use your ring. Dova wants up here. Yeah, my dog's name is Dova, named after Skyrim. He needs a haircut. Okay. So next question. What else do we have here? Oh, we got 44 people in the chat. Hello, everybody. Before we go, just because we've had many more people join, we are doing December's Livonian Sword Order proclamations right now as part of the Q&A. So if you joined in January, we will do those next month. And both this month and next month, I'm going to be holding together because there's a holiday going on right now in China, the factory that's making the Dungeon Masterpiece dice, and they won't be delivered until the beginning of February when they get through the New Year holiday. So anyway, next question. Do we have any more questions? Leave your questions in the chat and I'll try and answer them while I'm not burning myself here. Next question.
Okay, from Paulo Matos. Had to stop driving to type this. Would you consider...
Thank you for stopping driving and not texting while driving.
That is so great. Would you consider switching to PF2E?
Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, okay.
I don't particularly care for Pathfinder. I find the rules to be too crunchy for what I do. Most of my players like an engaging story, and I tend to pick games that veer more toward that. I think if I were a player, personally for me, I would probably play Pathfinder. But I don't. It's not that I don't particularly care for Pathfinder because it is crunchy. I don't care for Pathfinder because I find that it would make a poorer experience for my players for the kind of game they want to play, if that makes sense. That's not to say that Pathfinder is a bad game. Pathfinder's a great game. Boom. Got it.
Got it?
Yep. What else we got?
Let's see. Okay, here's question from El Gusto.
El Gusto.
El Gusto. Baron, have you considered doing a geopolitics video on games set in modern Earth, like urban fantasy or horror?
Ooh.
Like with the World of Darkness, where there are secret faucets.
I was just about to say World of Darkness would be a good one. So this is a funny story. If you're familiar with Jacob Crow, who runs what's this channel's name? He does like Reddit reads D&D horror stories. He got in touch with me and he was like, "Hey, do you have like a horror story?" And we just started talking, and a nightmarishly bad RPG horror story, like 10, 12 years ago. I joined like a one-shot Vampire the Masquerade game. So I'll be sure to link to that when that interview Reddit reads fiasco comes out. He's gonna do an expose on that horror story. But we didn't get enough wax on there. But no, I would like to do that. I think that it, especially now, with this OGL nonsense going on, highlighting non-D&D worlds is probably something I'll start doing more of. The Eberron video kind of discouraged me a little bit from doing lesser known worlds. It just didn't get very much view traction, and I want to make sure that the stuff I'm producing is enjoyed and people actually want to watch it. So yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to do one on Dragonlance, but the search traffic for the Dragonlance term, like I was doing some research on it, it wasn't very good. Like, people just weren't interested in it the way that they're interested in Faerun, for example. Like, just baseline chatter of Faerun is like 5 times more interesting to people than Dragonlance. So, but no, going for that's also kind of like a cat and mouse game, right? Like if we as creators are not making content for this stuff, you guys are never going to start searching for it. So I don't know. It's a cat and mouse thing. World of Darkness is something I should probably do. Another one would be Cyberpunk. Also, maybe I could get with Seth Skorkowski. That'd be fun. I don't know. I'll see if he's available to do a collab on that. Let's see. Boom. That one nailed it. All right. Next, before we go to the next questions, thank you very much, Matthew D. O'Donnell. And our next one is it is with great thought and consideration that this is going to Christian Breffel. Thank you very much. We will make sure at the end of this month, I'll probably round up all the Patreon funds and post like an Arbor Day donation screenshot to show how much money we raised doing this. What do we got for questions?
Oh, okay. Question from Horned Owl. I am currently Yeah, that is good. I'm currently prepping a campaign for the Transformers RPG.
Transformers? There's an RPG for there's an RPG for everything. I shouldn't be surprised.
Any suggestions on handling overland travel when your players all have vehicular alternative modes like cars, helicopters, and tanks? I want a helicopter.
I'm sure you do want a helicopter. So, yes, and this is going to sound like a cheat, a cop-out. Skip it. When players have the ability to just obfuscate all of the challenge and interesting parts of travel by doing that very thing, just skip it. Just because it's when you have characters that are that powerful, you want to make sure that your game is focusing on the interesting parts. So, a hex crawl or a point crawl or any kind of like sandbox game in a gritty dark fantasy world makes sense because the game is about exploration. That's why Skyrim is such a great game. That's why Breath of the Wild is such a great game, because you just don't have those resources. If you're playing Breath of the Wild or Skyrim on survival mode, you have to find places to sleep. You have to eat. You have to manage your, if you're depending on your mod, you might even have to drink water. So, and that's what makes the game interesting. If they have abilities that completely get around all of that stuff, just skip it. Just get to the good parts where the action is. Do a cutscene narration, boom, you're in the next plan. Now, that means that the game lends itself to having a more adventure of the week or railroady type of storyline, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to make sure that the game system that the story you're telling is diegetically supportive of the narrative. So there's a coin or term that was coined a few years ago in the video game blogosphere called ludonarrative dissonance. So you want to make sure that you have ludonarrative resonance, and that's where the mechanics of the game and the narrative of the game interlock with each other properly. So do we have another question here?
Yes, from Alternate Banana.
Alternate Banana, that's a good name.
Hey, Barons, plurality. What is the plurality of two barons sitting in a room?
What is the Barons?
Barons, okay. Not a question, but they just wanted to say thanks for the quality of stuff you put out.
Thank you very much. I'm glad everybody appreciates it.
Yeah, you've helped them bridge the gap between history interest and their player investment.
Heck yeah, those are my interests too.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, do we have another one? I'm about to burn this paper.
Okay, I'll just keep reading.
Yep, keep reading. What do we got?
Spain. Question: what's your favorite role-playing game that very few people or no one plays? Why do you love it, and why do you think so few people play it? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I have to think about that one.
It's like that game that's always on your shelf, but you never get to play.
Yeah. And I've never played it too. Like, I'm thinking through all the games that I would want to play that I've never played. Oh man. Like Warlock by Ruby with an exclamation point. If you go Google it, you have to say Warlock with an exclamation point, because it's like what would Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay look like if it were a OSR recreation? And I've never heard anybody talk about actually like playing it or making content for it or anything like, but it looks fun because you have backgrounds that you can justify dice rolls with, and it's all skill based, low fantasy, and you can just pick up a sword and be good with a sword, or you can pick up a spell book and cast spells. Like anybody can cast spells, but to cast a spell you have to sacrifice hit points. There's a cool mechanic there. So wizards are squeamish not because they have low hit points, but because they constantly attrit their own hit points. So that's fun. That's probably what I would go with. I don't know. That's an interesting question.
I feel like I've heard you speak in great length about wanting to play Frostgrave.
Oh well, that's more of a skirmish war game than and a lot of people play Frostgrave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But locally around here, the only two games that are skirmish war games that people play are like Warhammer or Bolt Action. That's it. So, and I love historical wargaming, but not the 28mm scale. I'd rather do something smaller, push like Alexandrian, and again, or do like the Punic Wars. Check out Little Wars TV. I don't know. That has nothing to do with the question, but there you go.
All right.
Do we have?
Just scrolling on down from Dylan. A question from Dylan Goslin.
Dylan Goslin. Okay.
It says hello.
Hello.
I had a question for Baron. What is your take on puzzles in role-playing games? I'm putting together a laboratory-themed dungeon, and I wanted to do the rat race in the maze. Rat in the maze experience.
Oh, man. So, to do that, I think it behooves you... Oop, I almost put that in upside down. Oop. To do the rat in the maze thing, it behooves you to have miniatures, and it behooves you to have monsters in the maze, like having a strong, powerful minotaur, or having gelatinous cubes that slide around in the maze, closing the players in effectively. You want to have something that applies forward pressure to the characters, and you want to have visual representation. So, always make sure that you have some kind of time limit, because if you don't, they're just going to put their hand on the left wall and go, And I would also say that your maze does not need to be anywhere near as complicated as you think it does. 5 dead ends is probably too many, if that makes sense. And put a weird loop in there, and have like, if that means you're drawing on like a silicon battle mat, or if you are making terrain, that's definitely a situation you're going to want to use miniatures, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. There we go. So this is Christian Breffel. Thank you very much. You are now proclaimed to be a member of the Sword Order. Next up, we have Vincent Payne. We're going to be doing Vincent's next. So thank you for your donation to the Arbor Day Foundation. What do we got here? Question-wise.
Questions.
Yep.
So a couple of comments. Satori says we need more Greyhawk content from you.
Oh, man. Greyhawk. That video did very well. Much better than I thought it was, the Geopolitics of Greyhawk. I feel like that's one where I could go in and do burning myself here. I feel like that's one that I could go in and do like regional locations, kind of like I did with the Fandelver video. That's something I could do. What else we got?
Paolo says thanks for the answers about Pathfinder 2. And cheers from Brazil. Cheers.
Awesome.
Let's see.
I love having an international community to hang out with. It's so cool. What else we got?
I'm scrolling through. Would we get a Geopolitics for Exandria?
Ooh. Maybe. I don't know. Here's my hesitation about Exandria. The fans are ravenous about their lore, and I'm not. Like, I don't, as much as I make videos, talking about Matt Mercer and Harmon Quest. If you haven't seen them, go back and look at them. I poke a lot of fun at Critical Role and Critical Role fans. And I don't have anything against the show whatsoever. I think it's great that they've added so many more people to the hobby. But the fans are so knowledgeable of the lore of Exandria, and I don't know it at all. So, I would be fearful of misrepresenting something and just the comments exploding about how you're wrong and this is. So, that would be my big hesitation. If somebody knows a channel that is like hardcore on Exandria lore that I should collab with to do a video like that, that might be fun.
Favorite ICRPG supplements or creators?
Or creators. What is it? There's a channel. I met the guy at Mace. He runs a live play channel where he runs. Oh man, the name escapes me all of a sudden. I'm gonna have to redo the seal. I didn't have enough wax on there. But he does a live plays, very good live plays. He's even got some with, legends like DM Scotty. I'm trying to think, and I can't. It's going to kill me. I'll answer that question when it hits me, when I'm not thinking about it, in like 20 minutes.
As a follow-up, Horned Owl says, thanks. The Transformers RPG is pretty new. It's by Renegade Studios, using their own Essence 20 system.
Essence 20? I've not seen it. I'll have to look it up.
Let's see.
Make a note of that somewhere. Do I have a pen and paper? Because I'll forget.
Go back and read the note.
Yeah, I know, right? And we can read the live chat.
Yeah. Okay, James Spain has a question kind of for both of us.
Okay. Dang it.
If the Baroness is a gamer, what RPGs do you enjoy playing together? If not, what game would you want to play together that you would think she'd enjoy playing?
Oh, well, no, she's a gamer. She's been playing basically since we met.
Yeah.
Well, a little short of that.
Yeah.
But, well, you answer that question.
Oh, yeah. So, we played D&D for a long time together. I really like the one-page RPGs. I love those.
Like Honey Heist?
Honey Heist.
Yeah, those are fun.
Well, oftentimes, like on a Friday night, print out a one-page RPG and play it. I'm always a little afraid to GM, so Ryan is very sweet to let me practice and game master games of your requests sometimes.
Yeah, Hero Quest is fun, and it's easy to game master for, even if it's just a board game. I cannot get enough wax to melt in at the same time to make this seal happen. They're going to, whoever gets this one, Vincent, you're going to have a rough time getting this in glass. Sorry. There we go. That's going to be enough. That'll do it. All right.
If not, so what game would you think I would enjoy that I haven't played?
Oh, man.
Frostgrave.
Yeah, you would like Frostgrave. But that's not an RPG. You could turn it into an RPG real easy. It's so heavy in roleplay, and it's so heavy in roleplay elements. What game that you haven't played, you probably haven't even heard of? It would be good to get a bunch of people to do. You've not played Vampire the Masquerade. That's one, and you've not played. Yeah. I have the PDF version of it. Good Society. It is a Jane Austen RPG. Mm-hmm. And it's so bizarre because it's kind of GM-less, sort of like Fiasco is, and the characters are all pre-generated. So it's just weird, but it's strangely crunchy. It's strangely crunchy for being an entirely social game. So I don't know. I think that one would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
How many we got? We've got 2. We're on the third one here. We've got 9 to go through. So, but thanks for everyone hanging out in the chat. If you're just getting here, what's our next question?
Let's see. From Dylan Goslin. Let's see. Another question. You spoke about Fate poorly advertising their book.
Yes.
In the past. Do you know of any good ways to actually run a Fate campaign?
So here's my experience with Fate. Fate is a great RPG. It's a great system once you understand it. Most players, the vast majority of players, never want to deviate from something that feels like Dungeons and Dragons enough to actually make that a reality. So, because it's such a radically different game system from the rest of the RPG zeitgeist, that to really understand that you're just making strange correlations between aspects on the table, that takes a certain kind of like comedy writer. So like if you have people who are good in theater or good in improv acting or that sort of thing, or people who are just interested in that kind of stuff, they're going to have a much better experience than somebody who just wants to show up, crack some beers, and crack some goblin skulls. So, pick the right players for that game. That would be my advice. What else we got here?
Death Wish said he loved the magic item streams that you did with the other content creators.
I need to do more of those.
That was a lot of fun.
Those are fun. I'm still working on that book. I haven't touched it in like 2 weeks. We'll get there.
So do you plan on doing anything like that in the near future?
I would love to. Who is it? Oh, let's not burn the paper. Hold on. I'm about to burn my hands. There we go. Go out. Go out. Okay. In the future, yes, I would like to do that again. I definitely will. I did a live stream with Kelsey, and that was a lot of fun from Arcane Library. So maybe I can get her on the channel, or we can do. I'll see if Questing Beast is available in the near future, and maybe get him on. He's published some great they're his own games, which you can just hack apart and use as supplements to make stuff. Maze Rats has awesome tables for like creating monsters, like inspiration for monsters, inspiration for treasure and magic items. Go check that out on Drive Through RPG. Maybe I'll get him on and we can like roll up on the table and then spitball like back and forth ideas of different magic items you can make based off the prompts. That would be fun. Oh man, I didn't. So close. Trying again here without burning my fingers. What else we got?
Let's see. Any chance you could play Grimdark Future or Age of Fantasy?
Yeah, I would love to. I remember when we first started dating, you wanted to play Warhammer so bad.
Yeah.
It looked so fun. I'm like,
loved they had me at all the miniatures. I felt like possibilities were endless. I still feel that way, but
So I had a 3D printer and sold it because I was moving out of my house and into your house, and we just needed to consolidate space. I'm still using my old house. I've still not fully moved out. I use it as like an office and my recording studio. So I'm yet to figure out what I'm going to do when I actually really move out. But that's still soft. We're going to wait on that. But yeah, no, Grimdark Future is super fun. I've played a few skirmish games of that, and I'd like to do fantasy regiments. That would also be fun, and do it with like 10mm scale miniatures.
Would you ever consider covering the geopolitics of Mysteria?
It's on Mystara. It's on the list. That's like one of the OG. It's either like the second or the third. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't know if TSR published it or if it was first published and then they bought it, or if it was, I don't know. It's one of the OG game worlds. I should definitely do a video on it. It'd probably perform as well as the Greyhawk one. Anyway, we just finished. Vincent Payne, thank you very much. And we are now moving on to, it is with great thought and consideration that Kaylin Aravan, thank you for joining the Livonian Sword Order. We are now working on your proclamation. So, what's the next question here?
Next question. Well, more of a wonderful recommendation.
Okay.
From Eloy Sanchez. If you're going to continue using wax seals, there are some good spoons and loose wax that makes this process much easier.
You're not wrong. And I was like, should I get those? If I'm going to be doing, like, this is great if you're just doing the one-off, right? Like, I'm just sealing one letter and sending it.
Yeah.
But
I'm terrified over here.
I've got a silicon mat. Nothing's going to catch on fire. So, yeah, silicon doesn't melt until it hits like 750 degrees. Something, the wood will burn at 450, but 500, something like that. But yeah, no, that's a good point. I should invest in that. I will do that next time. Of course, it also make these Q&As go much faster.
Yeah.
So.
From a question from Stormer454. In your opinion, what's the most powerful non-artifact magic item in 5e?
Oh my gosh.
They would pick the Ring of Telekinesis.
The Ring of Telekinesis. What is the most powerful magic item that is not a legendary artifact? What is the most powerful legendary item? The Potion of Invulnerability. That's what I'm going to go with. Because it just turns you into a god, you know? Like, you can't get damage. I remember I gave one of those, not really fully understanding what it was. Was it a new potion? This was like right when 5th edition had first come out, and I was running a campaign, and my players were like level 14 or something, fighting an ancient red dragon in a lava pit at the bottom of a volcano, or it was an adult red dragon. It was just an impossible encounter. And they held on for dear life, managed to kill the thing. And like, as a power stunt, the player who had the potion drank it, and like after the dragon was dead, drank it and then swam in the lava at the bottom of the volcano. And everybody was like, why didn't you use that during the combat? And I was like, well, if I did, I thought he was going to make it even worse and unfair. And, you know, this is also when I was a little bit less experienced as a dungeon master.
Yeah.
So
what was the potion that came up in the OSC game the other day?
Potion of Heroism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's really cool.
Yeah, just you get levels.
Yeah.
You get levels.
Yeah, well, I went
Fun.
to the restroom and came back, and someone had leveled up
Twice.
So what happened? What did I miss?
Hi, Mervis. We have another dog, Mervis.
Yeah.
That's the black poodle boy here.
And it's their dinner time, so I may have to take a
Yeah,
break and
if
feed
you need
them.
to feed them, that's
Or
fine.
it's just gonna be. You're just gonna keep seeing dogs pile up.
Eventually, Larry will come in here.
Yes, he will.
Yep.
Can you do a question from Wonko Sane?
Okay.
Can you do geopolitics for Galarian?
Galarian, yes,
Inner Sea and more?
that's the Pathfinder one. That honestly will probably be the next geopolitical world analysis that I do. Especially now that so many people, I've seen an uptick in people being interested in Pathfinder. So because of the OGL fiasco. So that's probably one that I will do very soon. If not next month, it'll be in March. So stick around for that. I also want to do one for Witcher. I see a lot of people I have analytics tools in YouTube Studio, like the place where I manage all the videos, and a lot of people have been searching that watch my channel, search for the Witcher stuff. So I'll probably do one for that as well. Let's see here. My question master has disappeared. My chat master, Galarian. And yes, Marley G, 10 millimeter is a wonderful scale. Have you looked at Stars Without Numbers? Yes, I own the copy of the book, and it's awesome. The faction system I find in that book is more fun to run with players as like a texting game than the actual game of Stars Without Numbers. And I'm not throwing shade on Stars Without Numbers as an RPG. It's phenomenal. The faction game is hilarious. But I just absolutely love it. If your lovely wife is into Warhammer Fantasy, why not do a Geopolitics series on the Warhammer Old World? I probably would. That would probably get a lot of traction. There's a lot of people who are like low-key interested in Warhammer Fantasy, but like it's kind of surprising that they like want to read about it because it's cool, but they don't. I find a lot of people are like, what's the word? I don't want to use the word posers. It's like they know about Warhammer Fantasy and it's fun to read about, and that's about it. They don't actually play the RPG. They play D&D instead. Let's see here. My question master is gone. Where'd she go? She's not even feeding the dogs anymore. Let's see. Where did we go? Where are we?
I'm here.
There we go. Oh, hi. So we are past the fire truck burn. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah, I'll make sure. We've got the phone right there, so we can call 911 if we need it. Where am I?
Let's see.
I'll probably need an ambulance more than I will a fire truck, to be honest with you. Burn the crap out of my fingers.
There go your thumbs. Let's see. A question from Lily Belisle.
Okay.
I hope I didn't butcher your name. I apologize. Question. Currently, I'm running a Curse of Strahd campaign.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice on how to caption the geopolitics for a trade-heavy society, largely cut off from the outside culture?
Yes, everybody is struggling to get the things they need that they once had. So you should, that's something that I think, unfortunately, we will start to see a lot more of as our world, you've started to see this with current conflicts going on in Ukraine. You are starting to see some trade struggle issues with, the pandemic with production in China. You go to the grocery store, and here in America, this is a rare thing. You go to the grocery store, and there's just nothing on the shelves. It's gone, and there are parts of the world where that's far more common, but this kind of thing where it is something that you should demonstrate where shops just don't have anything to sell, or it's all the things they have to sell are the things that nobody wants, but make it clear that durable goods, everybody's got a plow, they can plow the fields, they don't have seed, so everybody's gonna, they can't plant next harvest. That kind of, that's the kind of thing that you would show, and everybody is very dejected, everybody's very hungry, everybody's miserable because they can't get the stuff they need, but show evidence of them having had it at one time. That's what I would focus on. So we just finished inducting Kaylin Aravan into the Livonian Sword Order. Thank you very much for supporting our tree ecosystems. Let's go on to the next one here. We have, who is this one? Ashes Guinevere of Philia Norwig. Thank you very much for joining at this tier level. So what do we?
Question.
Yep, next question.
Another question from James Spain. Geopolitics of some IP-based RPGs, maybe?
Yeah.
Geopolitics of Middle Earth.
Middle Earth.
If you dare.
If I dare. I could. It'd probably get a lot of views. I gotta be careful about which ones I do, because I don't want to broadcast too much into general fantasy lore unless people. Oh, that's why Witcher is a big deal, because the Witcher RPG came out. That's what it is. Lord of the Rings just had their 5e game just dropped, so maybe that's a good idea. I should do that. I don't want to box my. I don't want to accidentally trick the algorithm into thinking that I'm talking about cinema lore all of a sudden, or video game lore, as much as I would love to do a Mass Effect geopolitics. That chef's kiss right there. But yeah, Lord of the Rings would be a good one. Yeah, I need to stay abreast of more what IP RPGs are coming out, so that I can make sure that I'm timing those with their release, stuff like that. That would be good. You've given me a good strategy. Thank you for that question.
Question from Aurora. Have you tried Into the Odd?
Oh, yeah. I've got it on the shelf over there. fantastic game. That's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what I love most about Into the Odd is just how bloody simple it makes. Hold on. I got to get enough wax or I'm going to be stuck doing this again. Whoever said that I need to get the bowl is correct.
Yeah. Upvote.
Upvote on the bowl. Oh, geez, don't laugh. Do I have enough? I'm going to burn my hands. Okay, what was the question again as I put this out?
We talked about Into the Odd.
Yes, Into the Odd. Oh, it's how modular and lightweight the rules are. Give me just a second. Boom. How modular and lightweight the rules are so that you can have all these wonderful hacks for it. It's so easy to just have the roll under skill save and have and it's only 3 skills. You only need 3. Have that and just all attacks hit. You just roll damage and subtract armor. Like that system right there opens up so much possibility for modular hacking to turn it into a cyberpunk or an explore. There's so many different genres of odd likes, I like to call them. I don't know. I just love that whole ecosystem of gaming.
Did you ever check out the question from Marley G? Did you ever check out the Freeport campaign for Fate?
I don't think I've seen that. So no, I haven't. I don't think I've seen that for Fate. I get a lot of Fate fans, and I wish I could do more to service the Fate genre, but the modules that are published for Fate are just so bizarre that maybe I'll do them on a live stream or something where the view count is less impactful to the channel. I mean, it's a weird, I want to make content that people watch, so I can't go too squirrely into the weeds on something and drive people away that would normally consume regular D&D content. So anyway, what's the next question here? What's the next one? What do we got?
Mr. Putz has a question. How are you not using a candle?
So candle wax is actually really bad for making wax seals. This is a specific type of wax that is specific. I'm going to have to change sticks here. It's a specific type of wax for this purpose. So that's why it's red. I've also got silver here, but it's not as pretty unless you're doing something like a real colorful paper where you want the contrast. So I'm going to have to, this is almost perfect. I didn't have just enough wax for the top of the seal. So let's see here. Ashes, I'm redoing your seal. So what's the
Question
next
from
question?
Michael Gunn. How do you handle PCs having to do their day-to-day stuff? Have you ever had mundane PC obligations creep into the adventure?
Oh, man. That's a good question. And I've kind of touched on this before with the Transformers question that we had earlier. How do you deal with overland travel when the players can effectively just drive a fast jet around the world in 3 hours? What do you do there? How do you deal with that problem? And I think the thing to remember is that an RPG is supposed to be fun, and if the thing that they are doing is not fun, skip it. Just say they did it. If for some reason it's fun for them to do those mundane tasks, sure, let them. But I find most people don't really enjoy it unless you make it like a problem or a game. So like old school essentials, like gold exhumed from dungeons is how you get XP. I even take it one step further and make the players have to spend it. We've spent entire sessions just figuring out okay, I've got all this gold. How do I spend it to get the XP? I'm building a house. I'm building walls around the house. We're building a compound. We're hiring guards. We're getting a warship. We got to pay the government to let us have the warship. So figure out ways to gamify it to make it fun so that it's rewarding, or just skip it. There's nothing wrong with skipping mundanity if it's not adding value and not fun.
Let's see.
Yeah, much better seal. That was hot.
Have you question from Girthquake? Have you ever played Beyond the Wall?
Have I ever played what?
Beyond the Wall.
I've never even heard of Beyond the Wall. My favorite OSR adjacent game. No. I'll have to look that up. That's another one. We'll come back and scan the chat later. I'm gonna have to look that one up for sure.
Let's see.
This is not wax. I was about to.
Should you do like all of them at the same time?
What do you mean? No, I don't want to accidentally. Like if I have to redo one, I don't want to accidentally like spill wax on all of them.
Me either. Me either. Let's see. Another question from Horn Owl, Transformer RPG related.
Okay.
They plan on having one of their players partake in a high-speed race on Velocitron.
Okay.
Any suggestions on handling a high-speed vehicular race on a non-linear track?
On a non-linear track. Okay. So go to Wylock's Armory, the channel, Wylock's Armory. Look through his community posts and find the playtest material for a cyberpunk RPG that he is currently writing called Neon Skies. Flip 2/3 of the way through that book and you will find one page on how to do chase scenes. And it is amazing, the novelness of it. You basically create like a rock, paper, scissors, Rochambeau arrangement that has combat initiative built into it. It's so beautifully elegant on how this is done. So like people can ram you, you can try and drive away, you can there's a couple of different maneuvers, but it's like a rock, paper, scissors arrangement. It makes total like it's wonderful. Check that out. That's what I would do, is look at that and then adapt it into Transformers. Do we have another question?
Question from Mr. Putz. When you did your one D&D video, did you think they would be in the situation that they are in currently?
You know, the first one D&D video that I published, you know, the red thumbnail, red thumbs down video, basically talking about the new problems that would come about from the VTT. Steely Sam watched that video live on his stream and invited me to his channel and interviewed me about what was going on there. And we disagreed about quite a number of things that I was proposing. But there was one thing in that interview that I think we did find ourselves agreeing on. And I was this close to just like off the cuff predicting that this whole thing was happening. I went back and watched that interview just because I wanted to see what I said. And I said this statement. It was like, the reason why they're pivoting to this VTT system first and the way that they're going to be controlling the marketing is an effort to try to lock down on the fact that the OGL exists. I was like, they are strategically doing things to try and create as much of a walled garden as possible. And I almost said it. I don't like it then. I don't like it now. I mean, it's really frustrating how close to being right I was. And like, I'm not trying to be like, you know, oh, look at me, I was right. I didn't want to be right. You know, I wanted to be wrong, but here we are.
Cornbread Crumble says, is this the Baroness or something? Yes. Hello.
Yes, this is the Baroness.
Let's see.
Do we have more questions incoming?
We've got some comments.
We've got comments. Read the comments out loud. Let's get some laugh track at least.
Question from Adam Yaminaras. I don't know. Oh, tell me about RPG noob here. What do you?
Caminares.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. It looks like an Eastern European last name.
I apologize if I
Yeah.
butchered your name. What do you think about GURPS? Is it resistant to legal issues coming up with D&D?
So, I don't think GURPS has a license that allows people to make third-party content for the game. Excuse me. I could be wrong. I don't think I've ever seen one floating around. from what I understand, Steve Jackson Games does a pretty good job of locking it down, and also Steve Jackson has a history of locking down their game because they were almost all the way through a license agreement with Interplay while they were developing the first Fallout game in 1998. And because the game had, can I say this? The P word with women doing services for men, P word. I think I can get like demonetized or struck by Google if I say certain words. So I'm avoiding it. But like besides that, and like the obtuse gore that was depicted in the RPG, that was one of the reasons that Steve Jackson that GURPS was pulled for the license for Fallout. So they were very conscious of like their brand. So I don't know if GURPS is a good move if you're a content creator and wanting to make content, because you put the wrong thing in the RPG and you might get sued. Anyway, that I would caution you away from GURPS. I'm actually doing a video on the Open D6 system that was opened by West End Games, and it's the system that runs the new Zorro campaign, the old Star Wars game. If you're a tinker with rules, that's a good one. Stick around. Be sure you're subscribed if you're not, and you'll. That's the next video I'll be doing. I haven't even written the script yet, but I'll probably drop it around Tuesday or Wednesday. So anyway, before we move on, this one was for Ashes Guinevere. Thank you very much for being a patron. She's also very active in the Discord group. So you are now a member of the Livonian Sword Order. Next, we have, where's the name? Jason Napier. Thank you very much. I hope it's Napier. I don't know if I said your name correctly. Thank you very much. We're going to work on your proclamation to join the Livonian Sword Order.
Marley Jesus commented, I don't think there are any GURPS content that isn't already produced.
That's also true. There's like 400 books, I feel like.
Mark Faulkner, have you ever played Ars Magica?
I have seen so many people talk about this game. I've never even looked at the book. I know it's like a spell casting RPG. That's all I know about it. I should probably sit down with the book and read it one day, but first I need to buy it. So, gosh, there's so many people that talk about it online. I don't know. That's going to be my homework, is that one. And this is me not burning myself. Oh my gosh, I'm going to drop it. There we go. Nope, I didn't drop it. Excellent. I got it. I got it. All right.
Okay. Next question from El DeGusto. Have you considered, this is a very good question. Have you considered doing a video on fixing D&D's currency? It just seems poorly conceived compared to real world historical prices. Maybe a video on world building currency.
World building currency. So yeah, the trick is I've thought about that for sure. I've definitely thought about that. There's a huge problem with Dungeons and Dragons just absorbing. Like, here's the problem. Let's back up. Here's the problem. You get characters who are just basically gifted thousands upon thousands of dollary-doos worth of gold. And then what do you spend it on? Like in 5th edition, there's no reason to build a stronghold. The characters are so powerful that a stronghold doesn't make sense for them to have. Like by the time they're 10th level, they're more powerful than Hercules, for crying out loud. So, there's no sense in having that much gold. What do you do with it? I say just get rid of it in 5th edition. It doesn't make any sense. The characters are heroes. Tell the hero story. Like if it wasn't for the fact that it wasn't so baked into, the air quote standard fantasy medieval Europe that doesn't even look like medieval Europe setting. You know what I mean? Greek, Roman, Egyptian, Babylonian, like mythological storytelling is, in my opinion, a much better fit for the D&D rule set. 5th edition, at least. And they don't need gold, so just skip it. Let's see here.
Tenurion.
Tenurion.
Can we get a better look at the dogs? I thought you would never ask.
Yeah, go get the dogs. We'll show you the dogs. Now would be a good time to insert ads. You're right. All right.
All right.
So it looks like we're back. Yeah, we're back now.
Alright.
That was lame. that sucked. All right. So where's the dogs? We gotta
here's
show them the
one.
dogs.
Here's Merbus. This is Merbus.
That's Merbus right there.
He is.
Here, put him in front of the white wall so we can actually. Oh, and Dova's jealous
You'll
because
meet
he's getting
Dova
help.
because he's a jealous boy.
Yep, that's Merbus.
Yeah, Merbus doesn't like to be picked up. He doesn't like that.
Yep,
And this is Dova.
that's Dova. He needs a haircut.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Where were we? We were doing Jason Napier's. We got one more seal to do. All right. So thanks to everybody for sticking around. Hey, we're getting some people back. Yay.
All right. And then there's another dog around here. His name is Larry.
Yeah. Dova, leave it.
We have a whole bunch of dogs.
Yeah, we got a whole mess of dogs. And she just told me last night that she wants to get another
We
one.
might need another dog. We have 3 poodles, 1 giant schnauzer poodle. I mean, schnoodle.
A schnoodle.
It's Larry, and then 2 miniature poodles, Dova and Merbus. And it just might be nice to complete the set, you know.
Complete the set, as if we don't already have a set.
Let's see.
Okay, so what's the next question?
Now
Now that we're back, that was lame. Thanks everybody for your patience on that.
Have you ever tried Cult? Question from Mauricio. They played the 1 ebook back in the 90s and are curious about the latest one.
The what?
Cult.
Cult?
K-U-L-T.
Oh no, I've actually. Seth Skorkowski's the guy for that. He talks about that game quite a bit. I have not. I'm gonna burn myself. Here we go. Redoing the seal. Boom. Excellent. No, I have not played that game. I know it's like Call of Cthulhu without Cthulhu. I don't know. That's where that's my knowledge of it so far. There's just so many games, and a lot of them are good too.
Let's see. Marley G says Ars Magica. Yes, fantastic world and game. Up there with Pendragon.
Pendragon. Yeah. You can tell she's not been exposed to all these smaller games.
Yeah, I know. I am now.
Yeah, you're getting there.
I'm getting there now.
Yep. Okay. Oh, so this was Jason L. Napier. You are now officially a Livonian Sword Order member. Thank you for supporting our woodland ecosystems. Next up, hold on just a second. Next up, we have. Where's the name? It gets buried in here. Oh, this is for my cousin. Called me when I dropped that video, and he saw what I was doing with the making fun of a very specific kind of proclamation like this, just pivoting on the narrative of it basically. And he was like, "Can you make one for my dog?" Okay. So this one is for his dog Nuri.
Okay. Nuri is a sweet girl.
She is a sweet girl.
Let's see. W3 Techie says, "Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I played a character that built a stronghold." We built a stronghold in our.
Yeah.
Is it it's the OSE game?
Yeah, we play OSE every other Thursday, and 5th edition every other on the opposite Thursdays.
And it is so fun.
Yeah.
It's a nice, like when you've been dungeon delving for a while, just to have a nice little Sims break to build a stronghold.
I mean, it's how you level up too.
That's
so
right.
You got to spend the gold.
Stormer 454 says they spend their gold on crafting items, potions, scrolls, etc.
Yeah, 5th edition needs better systems for making magic items that 3rd edition had. Like that was one of the funnest parts of 3rd edition, at least for me when I was, a teenager. Oh, this is a mess. Oh no. Oh, come on. There we go. That got it. Salvaged. Boom. Excellent. Nailed it. Hopefully that's a good one. All right. Next question. What do we got?
Let's see. Any videos on Deadlands in the works?
Deadlands. I should do Deadlands, or at least I'd like to do like a. Deadlands is one of those games. That's a Savage Worlds game, I believe. Chat, correct me if I think that's Savage Worlds, or is it Fate, or is there one for both? I don't remember. I don't know. We need more Western RPGs. In fact, speaking of Western RPGs, did you know that Dungeons and Dragons was not the first RPG? I bumped into an article where some British game company wrote a pamphlet for a Wild West miniatures storytelling combat game. Not an RPG. Like, they didn't know what it was. And it was released in 1971. I think, I can't remember the name of it. I might post about it on the community tab later. It's kind of interesting because it was a role-playing game and it wasn't D&D. D&D gets to say they were the first one. They weren't. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, Weird Western especially doesn't get enough love. So maybe I'll do one on the Zorro game too. But anyway, what else we got?
Tenyon says the schnoodle is their favorite.
The schnoot, yeah. Well, it's Tenurian, you have a dog. He's a patron.
Mm-hmm.
You have a dog named Sputnik, right? That looks very similar to Larry.
Very regal looking dogs.
Yeah. Woo! Let's see here.
Horned Owl says Seth Sorkowski is amazing. He's taught them a lot about the RPG Traveler RPG.
Traveler's fun. Yeah, Traveler's just so interesting how simple yet crunchy it is at the same time. It's definitely one of those, like, just screw around in the universe and find out. You know, they're like there isn't. It doesn't really make sense to have like an end. It's more of a simulation, I would say, Traveler, than a like you don't do heroic epic quests with Traveler. You're just struggling to make the next dollar to feed yourself. It's very Cowboy Bebop. Anyway, what else?
Is Traveler the one that we played where the character creation was like the most fun?
Yeah,
Yes.
Like you're constantly rolling on tables and you don't know. Yeah, that's
that was a lot of
in the first edition, which I've got up there on the bookshelf.
Did I go to school? I don't know.
Yeah, you hope you get into school.
I hope I got into school.
Yeah.
John Hemphill has a question. How do you tell if your players like light rules or crunchy rules?
That's a good question. How do you tell? Pay attention to what they get excited about. If they never talk about character building, if they always are, having the most fun with doing silly stuff narratively in the game, if they never remember what kind of dice to pick up for a certain kind of ability or check, they don't want the crunch. They don't want it. And I would argue that, getting into a game system like 5th edition is, the big 800-pound gorilla in the room. Well, maybe not anymore. But, recognizing that it's a weird thing because D&D is not very noob friendly. And I wish that the default game system was more a casual gaming experience. And I think games like Into the Odd and Index Card RPG better fit that bill and better show what an RPG should look like for a casual fan that would still sate the one guy at the table who wants to do a little bit of crunchy stuff, because it gives you the room. Maybe not with Into the Odd, but with Index Card RPG, you get a little bit more heft, a little bit more grit to actually do stuff with for your character. So anyway, this is who are we working on here? Oh, this
Nuri.
is Nuri. This is my cousin's dog.
Sweet.
Let's see here. This one is for Eric Moore. Something happened with the print quality on this one. I don't like this. You all can't see it, but for some reason this one got all weird and pixelated. I don't like what happened here. Oh man, I don't want to. I don't want to sign, seal it for the ceremony because I'm going to reprint it. You know what? I've got a mouse. I'm going to reprint it. Next question.
Next question. How well do you think an age iron setting would work? This question is from David Bearford. Especially for Dungeon Crawl Classics or OSR style games.
Say that one more time.
How well do you think an Iron Age setting would work?
Oh, Iron Age is so fun because, things are so brittle. Metal is so brittle. So you can bake in mechanics for, what happens when a character gets hit with a critical hit. Now they have to make a con save or their armor breaks, So, or, if you get hit with a critical hit, you have to sacrifice your shield. Stuff like that. So here we go. I'm going to reprint. Eric. Did I spell the name right? Yes, I did. I'm terrible at spelling. Let's see here. And paste. And print. Let's see. You can hear Larry. What's the next question? Everybody is like, there are so many people in this room watching me watch them as I type.
Let's see. Is Traveler setting agnostic?
Is Traveler setting agnostic? It can be very easily. There is kind of a thing. Let's see here. Give me just a second. We're printing. Page setup. Portrait. No, we want landscape. Oh, I goofed. My computer's being silly. Where is it? There it is. There we go.
David Gosselin asked.
Oh, hold on. We're not done with the Traveler question.
Okay.
But it can be with very little work. There is a mechanic in the game called social. It's like a social skill, and it doesn't mean like your charisma. It means your social status. So generally speaking, that like there's kind of like a baked-in feudal-esque nobility system that you can kind of circumvent, like if you're a celebrity or something. So that's a thing. Outside of that, there's also there's a few things that you might have to homebrew if you don't like it the way it's set. But yeah, make your own star sector, go nuts. It's totally easy to do that. Anyway, now we're printing.
Okay.
What's the next question?
Question from Dylan Gosselin. Would you be willing to do a video on your favorite one-page RPGs and how to run them?
Oh, yeah, I should do one on Honey Heist. Honey Heist is good. I feel like Lasers and Feelings is too. It's not enough. There's not enough there to actually make it fun unless everybody's drinking. I think Lasers and Feelings is overhyped. What's another good? There was another game where you were a garden gnome that I saw that was hilarious. We played it once. It was hilarious, and like each hat gave the gnome a different spell.
Yes,
it was so ridiculous. Humans, you had to stop moving when humans looked at you.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun.
Everyone is John he says Everyone is John is absolutely fantastic. I think for a one-page RPG. I've
not heard of that one. Is that one? No, I have. That's when you were like everybody's like part of the psyche of this one guy. And I gotta reprint that.
Still printing.
Still printing. I printed it on the wrong paper. So that one's garbage. Let's try again, shall we? Dude. Print. Done. There we go. Now we're back. Okay. Well, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab that paper. What's the next question?
Next question. How do you handle it when one player likes to hog the spotlight with the strangest, most powerful character?
With a what?
One player likes to hog the spotlight with the strangest, most powerful character.
Oh man, that guy. That's what you call them. They're that guy. Honestly, when they like to hog the spotlight, and this is the part of the story that nobody likes to be as the dungeon master. So, one, understand that you may have to kick them out of your group. First of all, like if you start from that perspective, like what is the most worst case scenario? You have to be resolute that no matter what happens, and it's not even this person, the game is more important than the player, if that makes sense. So if one person is just being terrible, you have to be willing to kick them out. Once you get to grips with that, then you have a conversation with them. Just call them off schedule and say, hey, this is a thing I have observed. Do you agree? And get them to basically, self-reflect. Ask questions. Try to find the things that you do agree on. Describe what might be the problem and empower them to come up with the solution. Say, this is what I'm seeing. Do you agree? Do you think that this is a problem? That'll be your first indicator if they're self-aware enough and mature enough to where you don't have to kick them out of the group. This is the part of the test, right? Just be honest with them. Make sure that they're self-aware enough to recognize that this is a problem and that it's ruining the fun of everyone else. And I'm going to start with this one. And encourage them to come up like what can always frame it like, do you think that there's something that you could do that would help alleviate this fun? Or that would help to alleviate the problem and have more fun, help the players have more fun at the table. And if people love a task, right? People love jobs. People like to be asked to do things. It's weird. It's like a weird thing. Nobody wants to be a burden on somebody else, but asking people to do you a favor is like the thing that solidifies a friendship. You always like the person who you ask a favor of. Or who asks you for a favor. Oh, they came by and asked me for a cup of sugar. I like those people. It's weird. It's super weird. So ask them to come up with the solution. Don't tell them, knock it off. Say, is there something that you could do? Is there something that you could change, do you think? Empower them to make the change. Then drop back and see if it worked. If they continue to be a jerk, kick them out. The game is always more important. And I've kicked players out. It happens. Anyway, next question. That was long-winded. But that was a good question. It deserved a long-winded answer.
It's a tactical thing. Jack O'Connell says, as someone who has struggled to get into solo play, despite how trendy and accessible it's become as of late,
I think that's just Google talking. But anyway, go ahead.
Have you had any experience running solo RPG campaigns and any success in doing so?
Hold on. The wax is running. I gotta stop the bleeding here. I don't have enough wax. Do I have enough wax? I have enough wax. I have just enough wax. Moving quickly. Solo RPGs. Solo RPGs. I've toyed around with them. I don't really see the appeal. Part of the thing is the collaborative world building for me. As a dungeon master, if I were going to take that time to do the world building, that one's not quite good enough. I'm gonna redo this one. Eric, we're redoing this one. I missed a little bit of your seal here. I would rather take that time to do world building or take that time to do not burn myself. Hold on. I'm not burning myself today.
Not burning yourself.
That's the goal. Not burning. Yes, that one's gonna work.
And you've won the day.
Yeah, I would just rather take the time to, make my own dungeons or world build. I find that solo RPGs are good for people who want to like just diary a story. Jimmy D actually did a very good video on a solo RPG system that I don't know if she found or if it was a sponsor for her video. Check that out. The dogs are being dogs over there.
They're getting rowdy.
They're getting rowdy. So I would start there, and yeah, I don't know. If you're a dungeon master, just spend the time world building. Or I mean, sometimes people don't like world. I don't know why you would be subscribed to my channel if you didn't like world building, but yeah, I don't know. There's better things to do with my dungeon mastering time.
Tobias asked, in one of your videos, you said you're not particularly fond of Tolkien's work. Could you maybe say what it is you dislike?
I mean, it's fine. It's not that I dislike it. I think it's...
I'm gonna let the dog.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's... That might have been a very reductive statement. It's not that it's bad. It's just it's everywhere. I'm tired of it. I guess that's... it's... I would rather have Conan the Barbarian be everywhere. That's the way I look at it. By Crom, that's what I want to see. So...
And Darby asked, where do you get the wax?
Stationery stores, Amazon. Amazon sells everything. It's a certain type of paraffin.
Would a 3D plastic still work, or does it have to be metal?
You can use 3D plastic ones. Do not use PETG or you'd have to get. Yeah, that's right. You can use like the 3D resin one. Those would work fine. All of my rings and then the stamp is metal, obviously. Yeah, you can use it. Don't use something like so. The problem is that the wax gets up to like 250 degrees when it's melted like that. So you have to get a material that will withstand it. Metal is best because the moment it touches the wax, it immediately acts as a heat sink and cools it down. So if you use a plastic one or a resin one, you're going to be waiting like 5 times as long for the wax to cool down enough for you to remove the thing. And if you do it wrong, you'll screw up the seal.
Question from Jack O'Connell. Have you had any experience with Battle Century G?
No, never even heard of it.
Doesn't take you as someone who's into anime manga. But
No.
It's very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not one who likes, like, I'm not an air quote anime fan. And there's not much, like, I mean, this is just in general. There's not much television or cinema that I truly find enjoyable. I don't know. I'm a real stickler for good storytelling. If I don't care whether or not it's anime, I just want a good story. So Cowboy Bebop and Akira, those are good.
I like
Cowboy Bebop is a great anime. But like, to me, it's just, Japanese animation is a art style and not a genre, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't say that, I like American films, or I like Hollywood as a genre. That doesn't make any sense. So I feel it's really weird to me that people lump anime into the same kind of thing. I just like good stories. But no, I've not heard of that, and generally anime doesn't get on my radar.
Dylan Goslin asked, can you expand on that YouTube short where you said that the best way to run a hex crawl is to not tell your players they're in one?
Yes. I find it very fascinating that dungeon masters will try to sell the hex crawl experience. Like, we're going to run a hex crawl and it's going to be fun. The players don't care. The hex crawl is a procedural tool to facilitate overland travel with built-in tools for the procedure of overland travel to make the travel interesting. The purpose of the hex crawl is to facilitate your dungeon mastering of games like Breath of the Wild or Skyrim or whatever, where the world is a living, breathing place, and both you, like, if you really do your prep work well with a hex crawl, you inherently get out of like your random tables, your random encounters, evolving story and narrative of the game that helps the world feel really alive. So in between sessions, you're updating your random encounters to reflect the behavior of what's going on with the factions in the world. But all of that magic sauce, your players don't ever have to know that you're using this procedure, because what happens is if you get, if you get a bunch of, mathematicians and engineers and, analysts sitting out at the table, and you tell them, okay, we're going to run a hex crawl, they're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to go to hex 1A. Okay, what's in that one? I'm going to roll a bunch of checks. What's in that hex? Okay, what's in the next one? Hex 1B. We're going to, and that's not fun. You might as well just run them through the list alphabetically of, here's all my pre-planned encounters. Let's just run them by one by adventure of the week. It takes all of the mystery and surprise out of the game that you would otherwise have. So that's why you don't ever tell anybody you're running a hex crawl. I've been running a hex crawl with both my groups in 5e and OSE for almost a year now, and I don't think anybody has ever noticed.
I did not know. This is the first time I'm hearing of this.
See?
Let's see. From Ed Darby, question from Ed Darby. Do you have advice to manage or run a large compat between 100 orchestra against, say, 4 PCs?
What system? That's a good question. If it's 5th edition, I'm assuming it's 5th edition or something 5e adjacent.
100 orcs against 4 PCs, I think.
100 orcs against 4 PCs. Treat a group of orcs as one monster. So 20 orcs is one monster. Use things like pack tact or reduce. Yeah, that's what I would do. Is reduce the complexity of each monster into a group of monsters. So if one of the 20 orcs hits, you're only rolling one attack roll. If one of them hit, they all hit. Get ready to take, 10d6 damage plus 20 or whatever, however much it is, that do yourself as much favor to eliminate as many dice rolls as possible, or even just, roll one die and multiply it by 20. That's where I would go. Have the group of monsters operate off of one check. I've run encounters like that with kobolds. I love throwing, you get a level 10 party together, I will just throw kobolds at you until you figure out where they're coming from and turn off the valve. Here's, because I have so many tiny 72 millimeter or 1/72 scale, which is effectively 18 millimeter, I think. I have lizard folk that I painted up to look like kobolds because they're really tiny compared to 28 millimeter scale. And you killed 30 of them. Okay, they're all back next turn. Figure out where they're coming from and turn them off. And I just roll one save for the whole lot of them. They either all save or they all fail. So this is Eric Moore. You are now proclaimed as a member of the Livonian Sword. Thank you for supporting our woodland ecosystem. So we're on the last one. So be sure to get your questions in, and then we're kicking it off. We're getting out of here. We're going to go visit my grandfather, another Baron of the Rop, for dinner this evening. So anyway, this one is going to Jeffrey Jr. I can't read my... Is this a...
Jeffrey M. Gile Jr.?
It's not Gile, because that's a G. I can't read block letter anymore. Is that an L? R? Or I can't remember. I'm butchering your last name, and I apologize. But Jeffrey, this one's for you.
Question from Michael Gunn. Thanks for answering the questions before. He just remembered they're having trouble managing table space with snacks and game materials. Do you have techniques to prevent spills, Cheeto fingers, etc.?
Yes. TV trays. Get the snacks off the table. Yeah, the table is for the game. the trays at the side or the thing, and then just pass the Cheeto bowl around.
Yeah.
TV trays are your friend.
Or just eat the snacks in the kitchen.
Yeah. That's the TV trays are what's up. I've also used TV trays as like a staging area for miniatures when I'm playing with terrain and just have them off to the side. I don't like playing with the DM screen. I think it separates me from the players too much, but I have put a DM screen on the TV tray to hide like the minis and the terrain and stuff like that.
Question from Black Grizzly 89. Have you played the BattleTech RPG or BattleTech in general? How would you cover BattleTech in your Geopolitics videos?
Oh man.
And he says, greetings from Germany.
Oh, hello. Hello. So let's see. BattleTech. I played the like OG BattleTech RPG like years ago when I was in middle school. So to say that that was a measured and intelligent understanding of the game, what is going on there, would be a false statement. I've done a little bit of like BattleTech Alpha Strike, the war game.
Excuse me, dog.
Yeah, she's getting the dogs. I've done the war game. Oh man, I just made a mess with the wax. But no, that's something I should do is not just BattleTech, but more science fiction in general. Dova's barking. So barking. No, Dova, down.
Well, they think they're getting a treat.
Okay.
They are.
Oh, she's giving them a treat. How many treats should the dogs get, Chad? One each or two each? Let's see if everybody's thinks that the dogs should get 3 each. Let's see here. We've lost our question master. Have you played the BattleTech? Yep, we did that one. Use minion rules and you're good. Oh yeah, I forgot about his minion rules. Those are good. I have 1 tables of 16 versus 1 rolling a D100. Are there any random tables for lowish fantasy setting you might recommend? Yes. Get a copy of the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide from 1st edition and use that for inspiration for coming up with random tables. It's great. And what I like about those tables is that they don't, other than the dungeons have level respective stuff, but the wilderness areas, because it's more open, it makes sense to just throw an adult blue dragon at the party if they're second level and walking around in the desert. Just because they encounter it doesn't mean that they have to interact with it directly. The encounter at lower levels might just be to, forecast that the monster exists in the area and it flies overhead and ignores them. That's what I would recommend. If you go on my channel's about page, there's a link to my Itch.io account, and you can download. I've kind of done like a 5th edition redo, like a remaster of some of the tables in that. I want to go back and add more to it. But time is always the problem. I don't have enough time. I was complaining to my wife here that I just wish that there were 10 days in a week and not 7. But go check out that if you want to see, like, in my opinion, what a good 5th edition version of those tables would look like.
Question from the Cornish Crusade. Any chance of Geopolitics aired from Castles and Crusaders?
Oh.
They say they love the channel, and you hit the sweet spot of combining geopolitics and world building. Their favorites.
Excellent. I'm glad you all enjoy it. I'm not familiar with Castles and Crusaders world at all. Never even heard of it. I know the game exists. I know it's like OSR is 3rd edition has OSR effectively. But beyond that, I haven't explored it. I don't know anything.
2 treats each. Okay.
1d4 treats. Yes.
1d4 treats. Yes.
one treat. I like what you're thinking, Caleb.
1d4. I'll remember that.
Yeah.
In the future, that'll be the treat metric measurement system.
Basic effort in index card RPG.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so we're on to our last final stretch of questions here. We got time for maybe 2 more. We're doing the final seal for Jeffries right now. Here we go. thank you all for hanging out with me. And if you're joining now, if you're joining now, this is for December's Livonian Sword Order members. So if you are a Livonian Sword Order but joined this month, I will be doing all of those next month in February, and all of these sealed documents will go out in the mail in February when I get the dice from China. They're currently going through their New Year holiday and are not working, and there's a few missing things for the dice that they need to make before they send them. So anyway, last question.
Last question is a deep one.
Is a deep one. All right, what do we
Grey
got?
Army Gaming. Philosophers have written about the tragedy of love. In loving something in particular, one can no longer love everything. Has your love for RPGs forced you to sacrifice any other loves in your life? I'll go first.
What's that?
Space on the shelf.
Yeah. It's just a never-ending stream of books. They just show up. She's always saying, like, you got another damn book in the mail. I just read rules for fun. Let's see. I would like to spend time. I would like to spend more time crafting for D&D again, but I don't want to make content about it. So, I don't know. I'd like to spend more time playing the game. I'd like to spend more time doing historical wargaming. I almost never get to play it. And it's hard to find time to paint miniatures for historical war games and play the games and continue to make content for YouTube. This is, I think it's not just RPGs in general, but, you know, not to wax poetica about it and you know, do the whole, oh, woe is me, it takes so much time. I probably spend, for every minute worth of footage that you guys watch on the channel, I probably put 2.5 to 3 hours worth of work total, depending on if it's a geopolitical video. Those take, even like when I'm doing like all of the highlighting and rotoscoping of highlighting the map and stuff like that, those take a lot of time to edit. Those might take 3.5 hours for every edited minute of footage that you guys see on the video. And you know, it takes a lot of work to make this content. And the response to the channel has been so positive that I want to keep giving you advice and giving you the stuff that you want to see, you know, providing those lessons. Everyone seems so responsive to it that I don't want to stop until that stops. Basically, when the content I'm providing is no longer useful, that's when I'll stop the channel. But it definitely eats a lot of time. It eats a lot of time. You know, there's been some weeks, like last week with staying on top of the OGL stuff, I probably spent 20 to 25 hours writing the script, doing editing. You know, it's a part-time job. So, you know, I have to make sure that, you know, Thursday is sacred so that I can play D&D, you know, so that I'm still playing D&D. Otherwise, I'd probably work on the channel. So yeah, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. So do we have one last question? This is the last one. What do we got? Do we have anything else?
Unless I missed any.
Time is a curse and a blessing at the same time. Maybe that was the last question.
I'll give you that.
Yep. Here are your thoughts on the Count of Monte Cristo as part of a background for a setting. Oh, man. You'll hear me occasionally. I have tried many times and failed many times to come up with some sort of like mechanic that replicates either a low magic or some sort of, you know, a Venetian power play court intrigue RPG. I just don't know how to make it work. I can't figure out how to make it work. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it doesn't need to be an RPG. Maybe it needs to be a card game. I don't know. Anyway, what was it like being interviewed? Enjoyable. I don't know. I'm just glad you are curious enough about what's going on. So anyway, that's all we have. I don't think we have any more questions. I'm not answering that spider question, and I know who you are, patron. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll get these in the mail in February when the dice come in, and I'll also have all those miniatures 3D printed. I think the dogs might want a WALK.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the word or they'll go ballistic. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Take care, everybody.